everybody. Oh, why are you so small there, B?
She's taking the show from me. That's all it is.
I know. I'm on the main screen because I'm bougie.
Yeah. Well, welcome everybody. And hopefully we get a good viewership tonight. I know they got a bunch of other stuff going on TV, but you should be right here with us. That's what's more important right now. So thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we have a very, very special interview for you guys tonight. And it's just an amazing and inspiring interview. And I just really hope that everyone can take something from this. I keep messing with my video camera. There we go. I think that's how I like it. So you want to tell us?
Yeah, so I reached out. So a couple of my friends from where I grew up in Grand Junction, Colorado, are a part of a new clothing line company, which we are modeling today, Grit Collective. And I wanted to reach out to them and kind of tell a little bit about their story, some of their transformations, and the way fitness has impacted their life. So they were awesome. It was kind of a quick put together interview, but I'm really excited, and I think that you're all going to enjoy it.
So we have a little video to introduce them, and then once the video is over, through the magic of TV, they will be with us. So enjoy.
Been broken, beaten down, tasted dirt as I hit the ground. You were there through. How far you gonna go before you know what you should have known all along? Last I can fall into your waiting arms. I'm headed straight into your waiting arms. I'm headed straight into your waiting arms. Been broke.
There they are. Hold on. Let me do it.
We'll make you bigger so that way you guys don't have to squeeze together so much. Well, welcome, Grit Collective. I'm going to have you guys introduce yourselves real quick.
I'm sorry?
Go ahead and introduce yourselves real quick for everyone watching.
All right, I'm Dan Hooper.
I'm Amelie Hooper. I'm his wife.
And I am Steve Morales.
Awesome. So I wanted to kick it off. We'll just talk a little bit about Grit Collective and what you guys are all about. So whoever wants to lead this one, go for it.
Oh, man. Sorry, Steve.
I'll
get out the way here. Yeah. Grit Collective. I mean, Steve, I'm sure will jump in a little bit on this. But overall, Grit Collective really started from we felt like we had a message. And it seemed like everything that was written on shirts, and it didn't matter if it was from, a name brand t-shirt line or if it was CrossFit oriented. We're all CrossFitters, but we just kind of really wanted something that we wanted to represent, as opposed to this is somebody else's brand and we're going to wear it, we're going to buy it, and we may or may not agree with it, we may or not care about it. And so it really stemmed from us believing that we actually had a message, a story to tell. And we'll get into more of that later, but it was kind of one of those things where we went, well, okay, maybe we can find a shirt somewhere else. But it really over time evolved into something like, why not us? Why not now? Why not something that we start? It doesn't have to be something that somebody else starts. And I mean, it did take a little bit of time to get going, and we really do believe that that's God's timing in it. But over time, we just felt like we truly, as it evolved, as it grew inside of us, we really did feel like we had a message. And between Steve and I, and with his wife, and with Dan, it really started to evolve into this very deep and rich story that we all felt like it touched our hearts. And we were like, no, this is us. This is a brand that we're happy to represent. but we want to put out there because we believe that grit will also help other people tell their own stories of grit and hard work and determination.
Yeah. And there's kind of an encouragement behind the word too, of which I think we should get into where the word came from, and where the story came from with that. But there's an encouragement to the fact that for each of us, when we're talking about what we're representing and stuff like that, there's so many things that I don't want to represent. But as we started talking about this, it started really going like, this is an encouragement to me in my everyday life, not just going to the gym. And that's what's been so special about it. And that's why I think that it's taken off so much too.
And before you jump in, I want to say something, because when Steve he reached out to me and he said, hey, there's a logo or a tagline that I'm just not comfortable with, and I'll let him tell that part of the story. But overall, it really became something where we were going, we're very conscientious of the words that we speak over ourselves, over other people. Proverbs 18:21 talks about the power of life and death is in the tongue. And so we were really conscientious about what we were representing. And so that comes down to words, but also logos and symbols. And so we're not knocking anybody else down. We just felt like we had a story, and it was like God opened it up to us and said, here's your opportunity. Dream it, dream with me. God's saying, dream with me. And then now I'm going to pitch it to my friend, the originator.
There we go.
Right,
In Steve's words.
And they've nailed it. It's like solid, but God
He's
was
being
manifesting.
modest. He truly has this great origination story. It's awesome.
So, I was sitting there one evening and I was like, everybody's going through hard times. Everybody's going through hard times. And this has been going on for, over a year.
Yeah.
It's been over a year. But God put on my heart as, you want to represent what's on you, what's on your heart, what's on your chest, And I was wearing stuff that, honestly, I didn't even know what it meant. But for whatever reason, that night, it was called upon me to look up that name. So I looked it up and I realized what it meant. And I was like, I don't want to represent that.
But he texts me and he goes, do you know what the definition of this word is? And I was like, yeah.
So is this a name brand we're talking about? Is this the name brand that
It's
you
a
were
name
wearing?
brand. We probably shouldn't.
Yeah, we don't want to we don't want to get sued.
Yeah.
There we go.
You guys
Calling
get
them out,
sued.
right?
Good collectives out of it.
Yeah. But yeah, so it started then, and I was working out one day, and it obviously all workouts are not fun, right?
No,
they
tough.
suck. They suck. Let's just be
It's the
real.
best part.
And like we stated, sometimes it's hard to get in the gym. It's hard to get out of bed. You know what I mean? It's hard to get up that morning early. And I was like, what's going to represent something that we're proud of,
Yeah.
And then right then I got grit. And I was like, man, that means so. That's a huge array of meaning,
Absolutely.
It can mean so many things. And then I got with Amelie. I was like, this is it. This is it. And I kind of put the ball in her court because I was so like, I can't believe that just happened,
Yeah.
And people that know Amelie, she's a ball fire. And she's like, all right, let's do this,
I believe it.
So that's
Yeah, because everyone else we know right now, like with COVID and stuff going on, they're like, oh, don't do anything right now. Be careful, all that. And there is this like, she's blowing the trumpet of, guys, why not? Why not right now? Why can't we? Because if we can't find what we're.
I just want to ask, I just want to put in this. So I just looked it up on Google as fast as that. So grit means courage and resolve, strength and character. But the cool thing about the word grit is that it means something different to each person.
Yes.
True.
It's interesting that you said that, Jamie, because we've asked people, show us your grit. I am grit. Those are our hashtags that we really use a lot. And, we ask people to tell us their story. And we've gotten stories of moms who, I had one friend of mine who's a coach, a CrossFit coach, and she got a long sleeve hoodie from us. And so she was wearing it. And her 14-year-old daughter said, Mom, can I wear that to school on Monday? And her mom was like, I mean, yeah, that's fine. But why? And she said, well, I mean, I love the brand. I love that you have this. And so she asked her daughter, she said, well, okay, what does grit mean to you? And her daughter spouted off this beautiful 14-year-old version of, it means having integrity. It means being hardworking and being able to stand up for what you believe in. And I went, that's a 14-year-old. And her mom goes, yes, you can wear the shirt on Monday.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah, and it's interesting that you say that because, you know, the original Webster's dictionary word talks about grit as in like stones and pebbles. And so you got to get to the secondary definition, and it talks about an indomitable spirit. So an unquenchable, unstoppable spirit, but also a formidable character. And we feel like we represent that because God's created us in it, it in us, excuse me. But so we're proud to represent that. And then when people buy the shirt, it's been crazy how they've said, I've gone out in public, or I've been in the gym, or I'm at work. We've got police officers who are wearing it under their uniforms, and people are saying, what is that? And they're saying, this is what it means to me, because it's not just a brand name logo anymore. It's people saying, no, this is who I am, and this is what it means to me. So I love that definition.
Oh,
And for me, I wear it because of the character it takes to be able to continue to get up and do what you don't want to do every day.
Ooh, that's good.
Because I think that's a lot about what your podcast is about, is like, this is hard. Like, to take care of your body and to get healthy and physically fit is hard. Yeah, to be a good father is hard. To hold a job is hard. And you know, with my faith, you know, just trusting and with a life of trusting in God, I was looking at the fact that even Jesus, we see in the Garden of Gethsemane, he didn't want to do everything he had to do. So he was at a point where he was weeping and crying and praying to the Heavenly Father, God, I don't want to do this. Can you take this cup from me? And he said, but whatever your will is, I'm going to do it anyways. And he had the grit to go. So for me, when I wear this shirt, it means that, like, there's days I don't want to get up and go do what I have to do, but if I'm going to have character, I've got to have grit. And that's why I like it.
You know, it's funny. You were mentioning, Amelie, how you basically said, well, why not us? Why not now? You know, and I look back to how we started CFL, right? Back in July, right? I think it was July. I don't know. It seems like it's been forever now. And it was just an idea that Jamie threw out there into the Facebook universe. And we just ran with it, and we weren't really sure what it was going to be, how it was going to work. Trust me, there are days when we were starting at 5 a.m. that I struggled to get up, and I was not motivated whatsoever. And I still do that. You know, I think it was Wednesday's workout. I remember telling everyone multiple times, like, I'm not motivated today. I did not want to get up this morning. But I feel like we have an awesome platform to help other people. And like, we've seen it in ourselves. We've done some awesome interviews so far, and it's just kind of taken off, and it's ever evolving. You know, now that places start to open up, we may not have as many people follow, but you know, we try to stay consistent with it and bring people workouts, because there's still people out there, like in my state here in Washington, where stuff's not fully opened up. So, you know, for some people, this may be the only outlet they have. And so that's awesome. I just was thinking about that. And you saying, why not us right now? Why not take that leap of faith? And like, we did that with CFL. You guys are doing that with Grit Collective, and that's awesome.
Yeah. You know, I remember when you actually reached out to me and said, hey, I'm starting this. And I was like, yeah, why not you, Mr. I have one dumbbell, and I have, you know, you only had so much limited equipment, and you were posting it on Instagram, and you were like, this is my workout, this is my WOD. And you know what's cool? Like, even though that was not ideal for you, you know, I remembered you leaving Colorado because you visited right before COVID hit. And you trained with us all week. You worked out with us, and it was awesome because we had full access to the gym. And then you literally go off to Washington, and then you're on your back patio doing ring rows with a rope, and you're doing a dumbbell workout, and, you know, just crushing it. And, you know, I'm sitting at home, and I'm like, sorry, D, I have a barbell and a rig.
I
and
know.
all this stuff. But that's what's so cool is grit made you have to be, you had to adapt. You had to figure things out. And that's exactly what I'm talking about, is the kind of thing that we represent. And it's like, you know, one of the things that we talk about all the time is no excuses. There's no excuses. Okay, I'm tired, no excuses. I don't feel like it, no excuses. You know, and I broke my ankle. My husband was in the hospital over this pandemic. Our daughter was in the hospital 5 times.
I do have a picture that we can show.
Yes, me doing
Kept on going.
in my cast. I
That's
did
like
not
you can
stop.
consider that a weighted pull-up.
The cast was not that
Pretty
heavy.
much, right?
But
And realistically, like 2020 has been such a crazy year, and it's taken a lot of grit for everybody. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It
With
has.
people shut down for so long. I mean, what better time to roll grit out, you know? And that's kind of what we went with too.
Absolutely.
It just happened at a really good time.
and
Crazy times.
you know, it's kind of like what you guys said. You had, I don't want to say it was an obvious opportunity, but it was like, no, this is the time. Move, get online. You know, I love that Jamie put this out there. Hey, is anybody willing to do it? And David, you were the only one who responded to her.
The only
I love that
one.
because Nehemiah 4:10 says, "Do not despise the day of small beginnings." And so, when people like you are faithful with small things, God does something with that. He does something with your faithfulness, your humility, and you know, we look at where this originated, and honestly, we were all really okay with just starting with, "Hey, we want some shirts that say grit because we believe in it." And then other people were going, "No, we want to buy that." And we're like, "Oh, we should probably get a website and an LLC and get this trademarked." And so I was like, "Okay, I got it. Let's go."
What he just said about 2020 and the how you have to have grit is so awesome, because Steve texts me like every day. He texts us in a group of like a new definition of what it means today. It's like,
Well, you can't steal this.
well, no, I'm not stealing nothing. I'm not taking anything, but like every day it's like another encouragement of like, man, you need grit for this today.
Yeah, he
And
does
like,
encourage
And
us
I'm
that
like,
way.
man, I got a long day tomorrow. He's like, you got the grit and stuff. And
I love it.
yeah.
So that's the thing is like I've told Steve and Bandy, because, you know, we all work jobs and we're doing this on the side and it's growing and we're blown away and humbled, but it's so cool because we're friends. And
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I could have picked better business partners. God totally did it, but it's just like, he texts us these encouraging words and he's like, "Okay, get after it, you guys, you got this." As a husband, as a wife, as a mother, as a father, as an employee, as a supervisor, as a CEO, as whatever realm we're in, do it to your best. Give glory to God. It's just cool that, I mean,
So I
Could
kind
we
of want to
have-
get into
Go ahead.
your fitness journeys because they are so inspiring and they all led to grit. So we started at the end, but I want to get back down to the beginnings of where you guys
Definitely.
started.
And that's you too, Steve. You're not out of this one.
No,
So
no.
Yeah.
I want to hear about this. This.
And I was fortunate I was there when they started their journey too.
Yeah,
This
he
beginning.
was.
So I got to.
Steve
see
started
it firsthand
CrossFit
also.
2 years before we did, and then so we started, and so he had a lot of knowledge.
That's what
And
we have
Dan and I
here.
were dying in the gym. Yeah,
Yeah, there he
And you know, it's really encouraging because even though he was so far advanced in the technical movements and those kinds of things, he was so encouraging. And it's that community. And again, we've been friends with Steve for a long time. We knew Steve long before CrossFit. And so it was just kind of cool that it all came together, and now we're business partners. Like it could only be God. But yeah, so ask away. Where do you want to start, Jamie?
Okay, well, how about let's go with Dan's story because I just think that a lot of people.
Yeah.
Pretty
We need to
dramatic.
know Dan's story. The world needs to know, Dan.
check this out.
Amazing.
There it is.
There it is. So what you
Transformation.
see on the left is
Oh,
me at
let's go
I'm at 235 pounds, high blood pressure, back pain, can't sleep at night, like snoring and waking up, and I never
No
got
energy.
yeah, I never got checked to see if I had like sleep apnea or anything like that, but just miserable all the time. Never felt good. And on the right is a more recent picture of me at 175, and that's after a 2-year journey.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you on the left, the journey between those two pictures, like everyone likes the story of like, hey, what's the magic pill? Like, what do you got to do to get from here to there? And I'll tell you, it's a lot of work, and it's hard work, and it's a
Nothing
commitment.
but grit.
That's right. Nothing but great.
Yeah. of every day. And I think there were a couple wake up calls. There were some health issues in my family that I don't want to get into too much, but like my father had some health issues and stuff, and it woke me up because I'm like, my gosh, I'm 25 years younger than him, and I've got similar problems to what he's dealing with now. Like, this is not good. And I tried, man, this sounds like a stinking commercial, but I'll tell you that, or infomercial type thing, but I tried everything. I tried all the fad diets, and I'd lose 30 pounds and then gain back 35, and lose
He's
30
literally
pounds
lost
and
like
gain
600 pounds.
Yeah. over and over again. It was miserable, and I feel like I got to throw this at you. One day, Amelie just comes in and tells me, so I signed up for CrossFit. I'm like, you did what?
This is how I roll.
Yeah, so I'm like, I want to come check this out. What are you doing? And she goes, and I see this, and there's like this competitive aspect of it that, like, man, I've been missing since like high school. I was like, this is something I like. I can get out there and grind and have some other people around me encouraging me and stuff like that, and get competitive when I see guys like Steve, and I'm like, man, someday I want to lift like him. I want to look like him. And like, man, when I grow up, Steve, I want to be like him.
I got a lot of great
You're several years younger than us.
So what would you say on this fitness journey was the most eye-opening thing for you? And what was kind of your path? I mean, was it more diet? Was it more working out? Was it a mixture of both? We try to talk a little bit of everything to everyone at the end of workouts. So
you're putting me on the spot here, and I think that there's kind of a weird saying, and I don't know if I actually agree with it medically or psychologically or anything, but you hear the saying that if you have an addiction, it's best to replace it with something better. And I feel like I was so addicted to the couch and addicted to food and addicted to the pity party of my stress at the end of the day that I had to take that time in my day where I was, so my journey of it, I guess, was the evenings where I would come home and just eat and eat and eat and watch TV and feel more down after all the news and all that garbage. And then finally, I finally replaced that with that. We started working out in the evening. Steve's like a 5 a.m. guy.
Steve's the early morning guy, and we're like, you're nuts.
I'm gonna start working out at night. And what happened was the food thing came later, because as I started working out so hard in these functional fitness gyms, I got to the point where I'm like, I have to eat better so I don't throw up in front of everyone at the gym. I've got to eat better so I can get through this next workout. So it was kind of like, for the first time, there was instead of the downward spiral of eating bad and all that, for the first time I had something to where now, because of my workouts, I want to eat better. And because I'm eating better, I want to work out. And it is now, I was heading in the right direction. And then I started rewarding myself, where I used to reward myself, man, I lost 10 pounds. Let's go out and eat some chicken wings or something. It turned in my head to where it's like, I still want that, but now instead, I lost 10 pounds. Let's go sign up for a 5K or something like that. And it started putting different things out there ahead of me to look forward to that were helping me along the journey as well.
And that's interesting you say that. You had things to look forward to that were healthy, like people realize, and I've been guilty of this myself, where you think of weight loss or you think of eating right as you're taking from something. But when you start to make it a habit, I mean, you look forward to some of the things you get to eat. You look forward to the workouts. You look forward to those things. It's just changing that mindset. And we've talked about that a little bit, Jamie, mindset being one of the biggest things. But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And you don't want to ruin your workout with whatever it is you put in your body, because then you have to work that much harder the next time you go. So it's like you're punishing yourself every time you eat bad, you know?
Absolutely.
Well, and it was interesting as we were kind of preparing for the interview. I kind of figured we were going to come to this point at some point. Nutrition has always been kind of a strength of mine. I was raised in a really healthy family, and don't get me wrong, I've had my bad habits. And when I started my CrossFit journey, I was 150 pounds. I'm 5'6", and I'm kind of a muscular build anyway. And I rapidly started losing fat, but then with CrossFit, you kind of have the ability to lose fat and put on muscle at the same time, because we work in blocks and phases. And so I was alternating between these several month periods where I was losing fat and starting to shred out and see my muscles. And then, like he said, I got addicted to the results. And so I knew the components of hard work in the gym and nutrition. And so I'm really conscientious about what I eat, because I'm really proud of the work that I've done. I mean, I went from not knowing a lot of the Olympic lifts in CrossFit. You're familiar with some stuff. I couldn't do a pull-up 2 years ago. If I did a pull-up,
picture here.
Yes, literally dying on the floor probably within the first few weeks of starting CrossFit. And I love that picture.
That hurts.
Yes, it does. It does.
It's a great feeling.
So if I ever try to pull up, I was in a go-kart accident about 8 years ago, and I would pull my neck and I would be out for 4 to 7 days on my back in bed. And CrossFit, because of the way that we if you're trained properly, we had a great gym, and we worked on all the stabilizer muscles. And within a couple months, I got strict pull-ups. I can do 30 unbroken pull-ups now, 2 years later. And
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
Wow.
I say that because not to brag on it, but to go, I've put in that much hard work. And again, I broke my ankle, so what was I doing? I was doing strict movements. But the nutrition factor is something that so many people, they're like, oh, okay, well, it's 50-50. Nutrition fuels you for your workout. It fuels you so that you sleep better. And honestly, I mean, I hope this doesn't sound vain, but when I started seeing results in the gym, I was like, okay, nutrition is going to make those muscles pop. Nutrition is going to make everything look better. And I have no shame cutting sleeves off of my shirts so that I can wear a tank top.
We have a comment that says Amelie equals life goals. Emoji.
That's a great
I had a
comment.
comment saying Amelie equals life goals. And so if anybody wants my nutrition advice, it's very simple. It's not hard. It's good, clean eating. And I watch, people hear these macros and they hear all of these diets. I don't follow a diet. I eat clean. I eat when I'm hungry. I fuel for my workout. I work out in the afternoon. So if somebody asks me and they work out in the morning, I will shift. I'm not a nutritionist. I just, hey, this is what worked for me. Yeah. And if you want to try it this way, I eat lean protein. I eat vegetables. I watch, certain carbohydrates I eat, but I have bread. I have ice cream. I have those things.
What's your cheat meal, Amelie?
My cheat meal. It would be French fries and ice cream.
Perfect. What about you, Dan? What's your cheat?
It used to be chicken wings, but they make me so sick now but I will go with a burger.
I was going to say a burger.
All right.
Ryan?
Cheat meal.
It's got to be a good burger.
Yeah.
Just
Big old greasy burger.
Just 2 burgers after
Oh.
this.
Way to go.
I'm gonna go fire up the grill.
Yeah. You stay here.
So Steve, looks like we're on you now. Let's hear a little bit about your fitness
Before we
journey.
start on this,
Okay,
he tends to be very modest. So if I have to nudge him a little bit,
perfect. Go for
he
it.
truly
Talk
has.
about yourself because you're awesome.
Yeah.
He has a great transformation story, and is one of the reasons why we started CrossFit, because he had such a great transformation.
Let's say this before you start, Steve. You're missing half of you, right?
Yes, his beautiful
There
half.
she is.
There she is.
That's Vandy.
Vandy.
That's my beautiful wife, Vandy. Vandy, if you're watching at home, I love you.
And she's amazing.
She's at home putting in some grit with the kids at home. So she
There
gotta
we
get
go.
them kids up
This is true.
So, but yeah, so my story. So my fitness journey started 4 years ago.
2016.
Yeah, 2016. Before that, I was a college athlete, but
And amazing.
nothing compares to, CrossFit and just the gym life. All the sports don't amount up to that. Honestly, the hard work and stuff, and the constant mentality of being what's the word? I can't think of the word right off the bat. But started 4 years ago, and it wasn't fun. And I want to be real with you guys. Like, this is what it's all about. Is everybody struggles, right? Everybody struggles.
Yes.
I'm a 5 o'clock in the morning guy. Like, I've got kids at home and picking up from school and just doing the activities after school where afternoon workouts just don't work out a lot of the time for me.
Yeah.
So I was a 5 o'clock in the morning guy, right? And that alone is so hard to get up out of bed to get there at 5 o'clock in the morning, especially in the winter when it's cold and you just want to snuggle up, it's like, it's so hard. So that's where it started. I was a 5 o'clock guy. And 3 months into my journey, I thought about quitting. Like, I was straight up like, it wasn't getting any easier. It seemed like every day was harder. But a good friend that I worked out with, he's like, just try another month. Just stick out another month. You'll be all right. So I was like, all right, I'll listen to you. So a month comes by and I finally clicked, and I was like, this is legit. The camaraderie there, just the friends.
BJ.
No, it was Seth Counts.
I know Seth.
Yep, Seth. He was my workout buddy, and he pushed me beyond belief. And if it wasn't for that guy, I would have quit, straight up quit. So kudos to him and shout out to him.
To Seth.
But I had started because I had high blood pressure at the age of 30. Like 30 years old, I had high blood pressure. I was overweight. I hadn't lost 60 pounds like man though. That's
Because you hadn't gained it.
But I had high blood. I was not in a healthy place, mentally, physically. And I was like, man, I got to chase after these kids. I can't keep living like this. So 6 months into my journey, I was actually on high blood pressure meds and everything too. 6 months into it, went to the doctor for a physical, and he's like, what's going on? I didn't tell him I stopped taking the blood pressure meds a month before that. So he was like, oh, okay, your blood pressure's great, whatever. And it's like, well, I haven't been taking those pills. He's like, what are you doing? It's like, well, I started working out and watching, my diet. And I'm with these guys, lean meat. You don't have to starve yourself. Like, you don't have to starve yourself. That's the number one thing is, and I'm a foodie. Like, food is my love language. If you guys know me,
It's love language.
it's so hard for me to be like, hey, let's go have a burger. It's hard for me to be like, I better get some chicken or something. It's like, okay. But so I know people struggle with that. I just want to be real with you guys. So, but yeah, that's where it started. And I wasn't in a healthy place mentally and physically. And energy wise was terrible. But yeah, 6 months in was the turning point. And after that 6 months, my life changed. I was in a better mood. I was, be able to keep up with the kids, do activities. I didn't feel drained all the time. And yeah, it's been life changing.
Awesome.
It's taken me places where I never thought my body could go also, a lot of us realize our pain thresholds are something crazy,
Yeah.
and that's for another day. But yeah, that's where I was at.
That's a whole other interview.
Your wife says, "Hello, love." You see that? Can you see that comment in there?
From Vandy.
Hey, there she is.
Yeah, she's watching.
Happy Vandy.
Awesome.
We were
No,
gonna do taco night at our house for this interview, but the kids had to get to bed. So.
makes sense. And you know, so you mentioned
It's
something.
fitness, and all we're talking about is food.
Yeah, I know. Oh, we just derailed the train. Go ahead, Dee.
So, Steve, you mentioned something that you know, a lot of us on here, at least Jamie and myself, we both have kids, and one thing that you mentioned was just being able to be healthy enough to get through daily life, right? So, you know, one thing we talk about a lot on our show is that, you know, we're not athletes. We're not going to go compete somewhere. And I mean, we might, who knows? I don't know. But for the most part, we're talking to just the everyday, you know, mom, dad, you know, might be older and you're just trying to stay limber enough so you don't find yourself in a chair somewhere. You know, it's just staying functional enough to go through whatever you have to go through in life. And I think that's really cool to see that, you know, all of us are different age groups. We're all different fitness levels, but we're all doing it for different reasons. And it kind of goes back to the grit, right? It's having the grit to just get up every day and carve a little extra time out, because the rest of the day is going to be work and kids and all those types of things, but it's still important to invest in yourself. And that's awesome.
Well, and it's interesting that you said that, David, because for a long time when I went to just a traditional gym, and I'm not knocking that, just my mentality, I'm very competitive. I was always on team sports. So what I love about CrossFit is you have that team mentality. Even though it's an individual sport, you still have team. And, you know, like Steve will challenge me to a 2K row. I'll challenge him to another WOD. We've got another guy, one of our training partners. I challenge him to a lot of the benchmarks. And I know the guys are going to go faster than me, but I still don't mind challenging them because it keeps us. And then we text each other, we send our times to each other and those kinds of things. If we can't hit the gym together or anything like that. But, you know, I was a gym rat for a long time because I got out of soccer. I was Olympic bound, blew my knee out, and just kind of gave that dream up and lost my mo. So I got into, and I was like 18 when that happened.
Wow.
And so got in the gym, and I loved training, triathlons, you know, I tried a lot of different things. And it was just one of those things where it was like time over time, consistency is actually what brought this out. Because I think if we told our stories, you know, a lot of times we tell it in a 5-minute period of time, but you have to remember we lived it for 2 years or 4 years. And it's like, okay, I can't do that yet, but building block time over time, you know, in CrossFit, if you've ever gotten certified in it or taken the L1 or anything like that, you'll understand this, or read any physiology books. You have to stress the muscle. You have to then let it rest. And so, you know, a lot of times people forget, you need to sleep, and you need to sleep well. And so carving out that time, I used to feel so selfish when I went to the gym, because I'm like, here's an hour and a half where I'm lifting, you know, I'm doing the traditional bodybuilding split with cardio in between and trying to stay motivated. And I just felt so guilty being in the gym. But even my husband would always say, honey, that is your time. Go do that. Take care of yourself. And it morphed when we started training together in a CrossFit gym. And, you know, it's something we love to do together, push each other, support each other. But I got over that mom guilt. I got over that. And now my daughters, so our daughters are 16 and 14, and they look at it, and, you know, I'll text them and say, hey, I'm going to be working out. And they're like, well, duh, it's 4:30. Like,
We already know.
are you going to be home at 6 or 6:30? Is today a strength additional training class, or is this like what? So our daughters not only embrace it, just like when they were younger, we fed them foods that were healthy and we trained them in that. Now they eat healthy, and that's what they want. And both of our daughters are healthy because, I mean, our older daughter is looking at colleges, and she found a college that has a CrossFit team. And she's like, that's what I want to do. And I'm like, you're going to go to college because of the CrossFit team? I mean, cool. I support that.
Hey, Dave and Jay, I have one other thing two things real quick. One is don't challenge her to burpees.
Oh
So
my
if
gosh.
you've experienced that, you don't ever want to go back to that.
It's the most jacked up thing in the world. She has this weird passion for burpees. and I
Something
hate
about burpees, I don't get it. But
They
anyhow,
can do a lot and they're fast.
and the other thing is
Whatever.
for the listeners that are hesitant or just starting in this journey,
Yeah.
and what you guys are doing is so awesome for people at home and people on the go and stuff. Like
Just
that's
start.
so awesome. But once you start, that's the biggest thing is you started, and you got to celebrate those little victories like that. Like
Oh, yeah.
one day down, like that's a huge victory. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
True.
Celebrate those. Don't be ashamed to celebrate it. Even if you did 5 burpees one day, you know what I mean, and that's all you could do. Like celebrate that. Like that's huge.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that because yesterday I was not feeling the WOD and I was so slow. But I have this saying that a WOD's a WOD no matter how fast or slow you go. Because the fact of the
Sure.
matter is, if I am putting in what I have, that's more than 0. I don't have to
Right.
be all or nothing. If I've got 75% that day, that's the consistency that I'm talking about. And, Steve mentions, for anybody who's listening that has kind of started this journey, I've heard interviews before where people are like, you hear my highlight reel. You're not seeing the behind the scenes work. And, that's one of the things that we're really passionate about is going, we've been on the grind together. We've been on the grind ourselves. He has a home gym in his garage. We have a home gym in our basement.
What do you call yours?
Yeah.
The grit chamber.
His is the grit chamber.
The grit chamber, I like
His
it.
is so cool.
Nice.
But it's just an encouragement because there were plenty of days where the hardest thing we did was show up at the gym.
Yeah.
The music starts cranking and you start going through the movements and all of a sudden your blood's pumping and you're feeling better. David, you guys get up early to do a workout. You're insane, by the way. But I love you. But it's show up, put up, or shut up, basically. And yet we all should be encouraged. I have one more thing to say on that. I had a girl tell me, it was probably 2 weeks ago. She said, yeah, she's like, I'm ready to get restarted on my fitness journey. And I looked at her and I said, there's no restart. You've been on this fitness journey. Maybe you had a couple days off, but a restart is something that can be psychologically detrimental. How about, you've been on this journey for 4 months. You're just getting up tomorrow and you're doing something a little more intense.
Hammer it again.
Yeah, it's not about, because if you feel like you're restarting over and over and over again, take that out of your vernacular because it's
I love
part of
that.
the journey.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because just having a day, like he was talking about celebrating all the victories. And you can't be defeated by the failures either, because I heard it said that not every
True.
disappointment is a disaster. And if you have a day or 2 or 5 where you just didn't get it done, like so many people are just willing to pull the plug. It just didn't work this time. No, you had a couple of days where it didn't get done.
Yeah.
So let's get it done now.
Yeah.
And that's kind of something I had to adopt as well, because certainly in the early stages of my weight loss and in this whole journey, I was really tempted. Like you said, you were tempted to quit at month 3, but there would be times like I felt like I had some momentum going and then miss a couple days, lose that momentum, and it was really tempting to just go back to old habits and old ways.
Well, and that's what I love about your guys' online community is that you guys may not be in a physical gym, but you guys provide that accountability for people to show up all the time. And that's so valuable, because if you guys are providing an outlet for people to show up and say, okay, I'm here, I arrived, and maybe my burpees are slower, maybe I didn't fill that AMRAP with as many rounds or reps as I thought I was going to.
Those hand release push-ups.
Yeah.
those are my favorite. So
I
those
love
of you
those push-ups.
who meet with us, they know.
It's just so crazy that y'all are talking about this right now because we just lived this yesterday, right? Our workout, if you go on the rewind and watch it, the whole time we're just struggling and going through the motions, and we're live. And so you can totally see us struggling through this
But
workout.
that's real.
And it's a victory.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's the vulnerability that sometimes I hate and sometimes I love, because it just shows that like we're just like everyone else, and we're just like you, and we wake up every day and we struggle. You know, our job, like if people really only saw what goes into being a recruiter, it is stressful, you know, like the hours we put in. And yes, we work in an office, but there's so much that goes into it. And it's the same with you guys. And it's just, you know, there's days I don't want to get up. I don't want to get up at 5 a.m. I just don't want to do it. I just want to stay in bed. But, you know, I value the people who tune in and watch our show. And, you know, it's important because if we set that standard and we show that we're still in this with them, then maybe someone will continue to go, and maybe someone will have that small victory for the day, like you guys were saying. So
Yes.
That's good.
I wanted to ask you guys, and I'll have each one of you answer this if you can. What grit means to you personally, because I know it's going to be different per person, obviously. And then, you know what? Why don't we answer it ourselves too when you guys are done? Because
I'll go first. Yeah, because I need to think of my answer.
yeah, you guys got to go first, but we'll start with Steve.
Yeah, we got to start with Steve because he's the originator and he has got some really cool God stuff. Are you willing to share it, or do you want to wait on that?
Yeah, I'm willing to share it.
Okay, he's got some really cool God stuff he wants to share.
What does grit mean to me? Well, that's funny because this is last week.
I know, and you totally ministered to me through the whole
This
thing.
last week,
Like,
grit got a whole new meaning to me and us. And I had been praying on it for a while.
like a year.
Like a year.
But
yeah, so long story short is God revealed to me what the G and R stand for, at least in my life. And it is, the G stands for God, and R stands for rescues. And the IT just came this last week. So grit means to me is God rescues in tribulation is what I got.
That's awesome.
He's
So
got a
everybody,
scripture to back it up too.
everybody's experienced everything different every day. We all have our struggles, you know. So grit means to me is that person that's willing to get up that next day knowing that when they went to bed they were facing adversity. So yeah, it's Matthew 6:13.
The Passion Translation.
The Passion Translation. I'm a passion guy. So. Rescue us every time we face tribulation and set us free from evil. For you are the kingdom who rules with power and glory forever. Amen. So that's that God revealed that to me. So this whole time, God's been working. It's more than just grit, you know. It's God. God was involved in this whole thing. So, but yeah, it means so much to me. It means that person, that doctor, that mom, everybody in the military. And by the way, I thank everybody in the military for serving for us.
Absolutely. We
thank you guys. You guys are a huge definition of grit.
Yeah.
Every single one of you guys, and we are thankful for all you guys do for this beautiful country.
Yeah.
So. But yes, the doctor, the mom, the single fathers, you know, it's everybody faces some sort of adversity in their life every day. And, but yeah, that's what hits home to me.
That's awesome.
kind of segue off of him. You know, grit has an origination story, and it's on our website. So if you ever read about the About Us section, we kind of tell our story, and then we've got a blog that kind of goes a little bit into what God's feeding into that.
Wait, what website is that?
That would be grit-collective.com.
One more time, I didn't hear that.
Grit, GRIT-collective.com.
I'm sorry, that was cheesy and cheap.
Well, no, it's okay. Shameless plug, right? We'll throw it in the comments.
So what is
There
it?
it is.
branding.
Brand.
Because we're not giving it to you enough with all of us wearing the gear right now.
No.
But
So, you know, it's interesting because the grit shirts have a story behind them. And I'll get to my definition of grit in just a second. But segueing off of what Steve said is it was so important to us that, yeah, I mean, our brand tells a story and that's cool, but it was so important to us that grit became somebody else's story because I don't know, call them story tees if you want, but another logo on us doesn't necessarily, and I'm not knocking logos, I don't care. God just gave us this opportunity and said, go and go now. And he did rein us in for a long time. I think it took us about 8 months to actually pull the trigger on it. But these shirts are supposed to be able to be something that tells somebody's story. You know, are we proud, forget our brand, are we proud to represent XYZ brand? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sponsored by fill in the blank. But what's more important is, am I proud to represent that brand? But what's cool about Grit is Grit represents us. And we believe that about when somebody puts the shirt on, it's not just, yeah, I like Grit Collective. It's, no, this represents me. And that's the biggest difference between, you know, somebody putting on a logo or somebody putting on a symbol or any other, any other logo. It's just, it tells somebody's story. And I have had people text me and say, you would not believe this. I was out in public and somebody asked me a question about my shirt. Where did I get it? And, or what does it mean? And all that. And somebody's, you know, I've had time after time, people say to me, I'm able to tell my story about working out, or, you know what, this week it means to me, I'm really struggling as a mom. And so to me, it's been my tenacity and my resilience as a mom to have that mental game, that fortitude that we need. So it tells somebody's story and it's very personal. So, you know, to me, and I think I've kind of said some of my tag words, this originated in the gym, because obviously fitness is very important to all of us. You know, our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit. And yet, as I name these tag words, you can put these tag words into anything. This is, you know, a marriage relationship. This is in being a parent. This is about being a good community member. You know, how hard is it sometimes to go out in the community and run into people who are not being nice that day? And I'm like, okay, it's my responsibility to be a woman of integrity, to be kind, to be loving, to be unoffendable if possible, and to carry God's spirit with me. And so to me, Grit, really, honestly, this is going to sound weird, is about adversity. And it doesn't matter what I face. Grit, I have to have grit to face any adversity that I have, whether it's temptation or trial or tribulation. But then I back it up to some of my tag words: hard work, determination, resilience. So bounce back, being able to get knocked off my feet and get back up again.
That's awesome.
It's about not quitting, because I can get knocked off my feet. And, you know, any of us who have done a CrossFit workout or a functional fitness workout and taken a dive in the dirt or dropped a barbell. I was doing a push jerk one day and I jammed a 95-pound barbell into my chin and broke my tooth. And, you know, I continued the workout after I fixed my, I grabbed the piece of my tooth. And, yeah, it's cool. My dentist will thank me for this commercial.
Yeah, there we go.
It's, again, that stems from a workout, but then you take those words and you turn it over into a bad day. And a bad day, not necessarily because of my attitude, but because it seems like everything I faced was difficult. You had some troubleshooting or something didn't go the way that you expected, and you have to adapt, you have to pivot. I think a lot of us are using the tag word pivot recently, but what do you got, Ben?
Is it my turn?
It is your turn,
I
Dan.
talk a lot. He's the public speaker, but I talk a lot. Stop it.
I can go a few words. I feel like I already touched on this at the beginning of this podcast, but just, you know, life's not easy, and there's things I don't want to do. And grit to me is an encouragement to, you know what, suck it up and go. And that's what we see with the example of our Savior Jesus. And that's what you see with every successful person on the planet. You don't see anyone that's just sitting around throwing themselves a pity party. That's having huge success. It's the people that are like, you know what, it's going to be tough. I'm going to do it anyway. And that's an encouragement to me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What
So
does it mean
who's
to you
going?
guys?
Who's going first, Jamie? You
Yeah.
gonna go?
I've had my answer.
All right, go for it then. I'm gonna let you go. I'll finish it up.
So I did have the honor of meeting the Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy this week, and he was kind of speaking about the Navy and how important we are to the United States. And I don't know if you know this, but we are recruiters. But when COVID hit, every other branch shut down as far as recruiting goes, but we could not afford to, because the United States Navy is always on the forefront. We're expeditionary. We protect the waters. So if we take a break, then we weaken our defenses, so grit to me would be that picking up and going through the innovative ways of recruiting, finding every obstacle that was coming at us, finding a way around it through that time, and keeping our Navy strong, and finding people that were willing to join and stand up with us and relieve our shipmates that are out, that need a relief. They're tired. So that's what grit means to me, was that we didn't take a knee when everyone else did. We just kept going and persevering and pressing on. So that's what that came to mind.
Woo!
That's good.
Tough act to follow. I should have had you go last. Normally I'm the one talking, but this time she's showing me up. So for me, wow. So when I read your guys's about me or whatever, and saw what it meant, I kind of sat and I was like, all right, what does grit mean to me, right? So in the last couple of years, my life has been all over the place, and I obviously won't go into like intense details, but you guys, Dan, Amelie, you guys know a lot of my my story, and this was one of those outlets for me that I didn't expect to happen. I just got back into recruiting. I converted over to career counselor from being a mass communication specialist, and for so long in my career, I was stuck at the same rank. I just didn't feel like I was moving forward, right? I felt really stuck, and it was my personal life, it was my professional life, and I was just like, gosh, what am I doing wrong? But I think for me, grit is just waking up and realizing that I'm still standing every single day, and it didn't matter what's come my way. There's been days, obviously, that I'm just like, gosh, I don't know how I'm still here. I don't know how I'm still standing. I don't know how every day, despite all the things that come against me, I'm still doing good at my job. I still come with a smile on my face to work every day, even though it is a struggle every single day. And I promise you, my chief and everyone, if they're watching this, it is not easy, and they know it, but I try to keep a positive outlook and attitude, for me, for my kids, for my family back home, whatever the case may be. But it's just realizing that I'm still standing every single day. And no matter what comes against me, I still have the support of all of you, family, God, everything. And so it's like, it's the grit to wake up every day and just remember that I'm still in the fight. It's something that we always talk about in the Navy, is you're never out of the fight, right? Lieutenant Murphy and Operation Red Wings, Lone Survivor, if you guys have seen that. That was just one thing, that you're never out of the fight. They were never out of that fight. Our sailors that are out to sea are never out of the fight. With COVID, with anything that's come our way, the Navy's not stopped. And it's the same for all of us that continue to transform during this time. Is state to state, the openings might be different. The struggles are different, whether you're a small business owner, large business owner, in the Navy, whatever the case may be. We as a country are never out of the fight. And as long as we wake up every day and realize that we're still standing, we're all still here. And that's awesome. So that for me is what grit means to me. So
that's awesome.
Boom.
Yeah.
I love it.
Mic drop.
Oh, I know, right?
You guys both dropped
See,
the
I was gonna
mic.
say, there you are. You segued into the conclusion very beautifully.
We try.
And that's what we're saying. If people just stop and think about what grit means to them, they'd be amazed. Like, so many things just open up for people. So.
Yeah, and I think you can reflect on your own small private victories. So many of us don't have public victories. And I think a lot of times we think that victory has to be public, but the majority of our victories are actually private. A lot of my victories go unseen because they're behind the scenes. I can use the gym experience,
Getting up at 5 a.m. is a private
Yeah.
victory.
I can pitch that off
Nobody else wants
to,
to.
I know. I can pitch that off to Steve. Steve and I joke about this all the time because I'm always like, come to the 4:30 class. And he's like, come to the 5 a.m. class. And we're both like, no. And yet we both respect each other and we'll text each other our times or our he can outlift me. He can double my weight on his power snatch. So come on. But, but there's camaraderie there because I'm not competing against him, but there's fun camaraderie there. And it's just those private victories where nobody else sees it. And I think a lot of times we think in order to be successful, people need to see my victories. And that's not the truth. I think all of us would do better to celebrate our own wins privately and go, okay, today I had a win. And sometimes that win is, I'll try to not be too candid, but I'm a mom of 2 teenage girls. Nobody told me that I needed a PhD in psychology to be a mom of teenage daughters. Are you kidding me? I'm like, they come home and I'm like, I am solving the world's problems from my couch. And, I've got my own, private things that I struggle with. And here I am having to put that aside. Well, that's a victory because I'm able to put my daughters first. And don't get me wrong, our daughters
They're amazing.
Unbelievable. They're
Keep your eyes off.
Yeah, we're not showing any pictures of
I love it.
stunning, gorgeous young ladies, respectful, and anyway. But I think that's to encapsulate it is to go, wait. The majority of our successes are actually private. And if we start looking for all of our successes to be public, we're going to lose. And so
true.
When we realize that, no, today I'm the only one who knew what I did. Well, that's integrity.
That's awesome.
Because when you do what you're supposed to do when nobody's watching, that's character and integrity. And hello.
Truthfully, I think grit is private because that moment when you don't between I don't want to and pulling your bootstraps up and getting going, that moment is by yourself. It's up here and it's private.
Yeah.
Nobody grit in and of itself is just private. It's that moment when you change from I don't want to or whatever it may be. But
I totally agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So
that's
I
awesome.
think I think the whole premise of grit is just a private moment in your head.
Yeah.
It's perfect. So as we get ready to wrap it up, unless you guys have anything more to say.
D, you know me. I got like an hour long more.
We'll spare our listeners
I was
at
going
home.
to cook some burgers.
I mean, yeah. Get the grill fired up.
Was there anything else, Jamie, that you wanted to throw at them?
No, we do have a couple of comments, and everybody is just so, they said that we're trending. This is way better than the debate. Way better than the debate. What a great story. Just some powerful messages that are being received on the other end for people that are watching.
Yes, and thank you guys so much for coming on. I know it was kind of a short notice, but I was excited about it. I know you guys were, and hopefully, the message that was put out tonight, help somebody that might just be wondering if they're going to wake up tomorrow at 5:30 a.m. to come on to Certified Fitness Leader. Shameless plug.
Do it.
You can do it.
I won't regret it.
Because I'm going to be struggling, but I'll have my grit shirt on, and we'll make it happen.
I'll be at the same time. So.
But if people want to find you on social media or online, where should they go?
Yeah, Grit Collective at grit.collective on Instagram and Grit Collective on Facebook.
And then I'll do it again. Grit-collective.com. What was that again? GRIT-collective.com.
We need a jingle or something.
I don't have a jingle. Let's not do that now.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the
Thanks
show.
for having us.
We really
wanna thank
appreciate
you
it.
too.
Yeah.
This is an honor, and we appreciate what you're doing. It's an honor to be a part of it. So thank you.
Thank you.
We're humbled. Thank you
Thanks,
so
guys.
much. And Jamie, it was so funny because I did my video this morning and I was like, I didn't shout Jamie out because I did that
Oh,
video
that's okay.
30 times because I'm really critical of my own videos. And I was like, Jamie! But hopefully the grit tee is comfortable. And speaking of
Love
both of you, how do you guys like the shirts? Because we love them, but
No, they're very soft, and I just like the fit of them. They're very nice.
Yeah,
but
the
they're
hoodie's
soft.
great. The hoodie is great. So I definitely recommend everyone go out there and buy a shirt. Shameless plug again. But
shameless plug.
no, no. Thank you guys so much again for joining us. I appreciate everyone who stuck with us. You know, we know it's a little later than normal for our interview, but we made it happen. And I was happy to tell your guys' story, or you guys to tell your own story, but for us to, you know, put it out there for everyone. So thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We can't thank you enough. It was nice to meet you, Jamie and David. We love you.
Nice to meet
As
you.
All
always.
right. All right, guys. This is CFL signing off.
See ya.